Nikola Tesla. Okay, so I'm finally going to share this story um, about the experience that I had in 2018. Definitely the biggest download of information that that I've received in my life so far. Let me just start by saying that prior to this, I knew only two things about Nikola Tesla. I knew that there were cars named after him, and I also knew that he had something to do with the AC/DC current of electricity. That was the extent of my knowledge of this man prior to this day in July in the bathtub in 2018. And so I like to meditate in the bathtub because I feel like water, kind of being submerged in water, softens the barrier between us and the other side. And also, water is a conductor. So I feel like, plus, I'm in my astrology, I'm water everywhere in my chart. And so I'm in the tub and I usually just put on some random Spotify channel of music or something that I just choose something random. So this particular day, um, there just happened to be this song that came on, and it was a lady's voice, and she was singing in I believe it was Hindi, and I didn't understand the language at all. And all of the sudden, it was my cousin Nikki singing to me. And my cousin Nikki had died quite a while, like over 15 years prior to this. And she came to teach me a very specific lesson about forgiveness. And because there were some things that happened when she was here that I thought I had forgiven her for. And she came to show me that there was still some forgiveness to be had. And she came to help me understand what true forgiveness actually feels like. And it was an absolutely a beautiful learning. And so once I got her message and her lesson, somebody else that had passed on in my life came through, and this was like 5 or 6 people came through to teach me very specific things. And sometimes it was like like with Nikki, I recognized her voice first. That's what initially got my attention. And then with the other people, it was like sometimes I would start to understand the lesson, or but I wasn't able to fully understand it until I could identify the energy. I had my eyes slightly open. I like to meditate sometimes with my eyes open just a tiny bit. And so sometimes I would get the lesson and then I would be able to identify the energy of the person. And sometimes it was not until I could identify the person that I would then be able to understand the lesson. So, for example, there was this one energy that was there, and I was so close to getting the lesson, but I couldn't quite put it together. And then it was like everything from like all of the energy would dissipate except for the eyebrows. It was like these two huge eyebrows just stuck there. And so then I said, "What is up with those eyebrows?" And as soon as I said that, I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's Pap." Because my pap had these huge bushy eyebrows. And so then once I was able to identify who that was, I could, based on my perspective or my perception of what my pap's life was, I was then able to put the learning, the message, and the put it all together. And so, in between all of these people, there was a very specific energy that was showing up that I thought at first that it was everybody coming together made this very specific like facial structure. And this energy had a very asymmetrical face, like very specific cheekbones, very high cheekbones. And so I thought it was all the energies combined made this, made this energy. And then I was like, or maybe it's my stepdad because he has a facial structure like that, very high cheekbones. He's a very thin man. And then I was like, no, it can't be him because um, he's still living. And then I was like, well, I don't think it really matters if he's still living because this is happening right now. So if this can happen, anything can happen. And so I kind of wrapped it up thinking, yeah, it was probably my stepdad. So the next day, I'm in my glass studio, I'm working, and the name Nikola Tesla keeps coming into my mind. And it's so random. I don't think about this man. I don't know who he is at this point. And so his name keeps coming into my mind, and finally I was like, I need to look this guy up and see what he's about. And so as soon as I see him, I was like, holy shit, that's the guy that was in the tub yesterday. And so I said to him, what is your lesson for me? What do you want to tell me? What is your message? And he said, pay attention to the light. And my response was, okay. I pay attention to the light all day long. I'm a glass maker. I'm looking at this flame all day long. I'm looking at glass. It's like I'm paying attention to visually a lot of light. And also in my life and the way that I live my life, I feel like I'm a person who tries to find the positive in almost any situation. And I feel like I try to find the light in pretty much any, and I do a good job at finding the light in like every situation possible. So I didn't really quite get it. And I went down a huge Nikola Tesla rabbit hole. And there were three things that I learned about him that really stuck with me. And one was that he never put any of his inventions on paper first. He figured everything out in his mind and then he would build them. And I learned a little bit about how he did that. Like from the time he was a young boy, he would do these he would do things like he would imagine a translucent blue pyramid, and he would examine that from every angle, every perspective. And then once he felt like he had that figured out, he would put an orange sphere inside of the blue pyramid and examine that until he felt like he had that all figured out. And then he would put a pink diamond inside of the orange sphere. He would do these like things like that to exercise his imagination. And so he said that, and he also said the creative source comes from the center of the earth, and he had been able to tap into that source, but he was never able to fully understand it. And that stuck with me. And he also said, if you understand the 369, you understand the laws of the universe. And so those are the three things that stuck with me. And so as I'm going down this Nikola Tesla rabbit hole, I thought to myself, I think this guy must be a Cancerian. He seems to have very Cancerian energy to me. I'm a Cancerian. I have Cancer, Sun, Moon, and 3 other major planets in Cancer. And so I I feel like I can pick those people out pretty easily. So, so I don't know, like a day or two later, I went to teach yoga, and I was a couple hours, or not a couple hours, a couple minutes early for yoga. And so I was sitting in the parking lot, and I remembered that I wanted to look up Tesla's birthday and see if he was in fact a Cancer. And so I did that, and he is, and I wasn't really all that surprised. And so I go and teach yoga, and then I come home from, oh, I forgot this major part. In the tub that day, the day that I was in the tub meditating, was such a strange day. There was all kinds of weird things happening that day. And so I decided for the first time ever in my life to do the numerology for the entire date, which is something I'd never done before. And I've been into numerology and astrology for a long time, but I'm not an astrologer, I'm not a numerologist. I just really do believe that numbers carry energy and information, and are the language of God. And so I'll think things like my brain went only to the extent of, oh, it's such a strange day. It's an 11 day. No wonder it's a weird day. I never did the numerology for an entire date up until this day, only because it was such a bizarre day. So I don't remember exactly what the day is, but we'll just say July 3rd, 2018. So I do the numerology for the entire date. So obviously the day is a 3. And when you add up the entire date, that number also reduces to a 3. So when you add 7 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1 plus 8, that equals 21. And 2 plus 1 equals 3. And so that is true for every single day in the year 2018 in the month of July only. Because at first I thought, oh, it must be some weird mathematical thing that's happening because of the 11 year. So I looked at all the other months in 2018, and it doesn't happen except for in July of 2018. And so then I became curious and tried to do a bunch of different years and a bunch of different dates, and trying to find another time where this had happened to see if there was like anything significant happening on the planet or whatever, just out of curiosity. Couldn't find anything. So I go into yoga, I come home, and I look on my Instagram, and I have this Russian pianist who I don't follow. He doesn't follow me, but this Russian pianist named Nikolai had liked my last post that I had posted. And when I saw his name, it reminded me that I wanted to do the numerology for Tesla's entire birthday. And I did that. And so only in July of 1856, the same weird mathematical phenomenon happens where the entire date matches the day. And so I don't know what that means. I have no idea what that means. I just know that it's some answer to some question that I don't have. And so I'm kind of just chalking this up to following through with my curiosity is giving me answers to questions that I don't even know what the question is, basically. And so I don't know, a few days later maybe, I'm in the tub, and all of a sudden this mathematical equation comes flooding through my brain. And I am really bad at math, truly. I always have been. But this mathematical equation comes flooding through my brain. So bear with me, because like I said, I'm not very good at math, and it's been a while. And this was like rapidly coming through my brain. It was 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 4 is 12. 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 times 5 is 15. 1 plus 5 is 6. 3 times 6 is 18. 1 plus 8 is 9. 3 times 7 is 21. 2 plus 1 is 3. 3 times 8 is 24. 2 plus 4 is 6. 3 times 9 is 27. 2 plus 7 is 9, and on and on and on and on. Like into the 30s, this was coming through my brain. And I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, I get the pattern. I get the pattern. I get it. I get the pattern. But what does that have to do with the laws of the universe? And so as soon as I asked that, I saw myself in the woods alone as a little girl, which is where I spent most of my time, was in the woods across the street as all through elementary school. I spent so much time alone. My mother was not home, whatever. And so I learned to speak to God through nature. And I don't remember ever in this lifetime not believing that God is within me and within all living things and is everywhere all the time, always. And so I saw myself in the woods as a little girl, and it was like one of those old school film machines, like with the wheels on them. And it was like I saw my life, pictures of my life flipping very rapidly like that. I saw myself in the woods as a little girl, and I knew that it was me, the world around me, and God. Those three things existed. And then it was like I saw as my worldview grew, as my experience grew, and the world around me grew, and the people that I knew grew, and the as the world grew, everything, me, the world around me, and God, all of those things expanded. But it always comes back to the three: me, the world around me, and God. And so that is a very tricky thing for me to explain, but how that actually happened, but that's what I was shown. And so fast forward about a year and a half, and my first love was in the hospital, and he was on life support, and he was not going to make it. And I live in Pennsylvania. He lived in California. And just for privacy reasons, I will just call him Michael. And I'll call his sister Emily. Michael and I kept in contact throughout our lives, and Emily and I remained very good friends. And she and her mom were going to have to disconnect Michael from life support. And my friend Sarah in Minnesota, so we all went to high school together, which was a long time ago, like 30 plus years ago. But Sarah didn't have any communication with them since high school. And so, but she knew what was happening because I was obviously sharing with her what was going on. And so this one night, she sends me a text message at, I think it was around 10 o'clock at night. It was way past her bedtime because she's a person who is usually in bed by like 8 o'clock. And it was way past her bedtime, and she sends me a message, and it says, "Does hand turkey mean anything to you?" And I call her on the phone, and I said, "What are you talking about?" And she said, "Michael told me to tell you hand turkey." And she said, I wasn't quite getting the message, but then he showed me like in elementary school during Thanksgiving time, like when you trace your hand on a piece of paper and make it look like a turkey, like that's what he was showing me. And he was telling me to tell you hand turkey. And I was like, I don't have any idea what that means. And she said, well, if you don't know what it means, I really think you should pass it on to Emily. And I said to her, I was like, Sarah, I'm not sending hand turkey messages to Emily right now. She's literally in the hospital getting ready to disconnect her brother from life support, and that doesn't seem very appropriate. And so I get off the phone with her and I was like, okay, this is such a weird random thing that if I don't send this message that could actually mean something, then I'm going to feel really bad. So I send Emily a text message and I said, um, Michael told Sarah to tell me to tell you hand turkey. And so I did that. I didn't hear, there was no response or whatever. The next day, Emily calls me. It's obviously a very difficult conversation to have. And I was trying to tell her that I know that she has this portal to the other side. I don't know how it works. I don't know how any of this stuff works, but hopefully that portal will open up and she'll be able to feel a connection with her brother. And because what do you say in situations like that? And so I was saying that based on what I understood a year and a half prior. And so we get off the phone and I go get in the tub. And I take this particular day, for whatever reason, I decide to take a piece of blue lapis lazuli in the tub with me, and I have it sitting on my chest. And I'm laying there in the tub, and I have my arms out, stretched out in front of me. And I look at my hand, and I see this white glow around my hand. And it was like bright white glow, like very, very bright white light. And I was like, oh, wow, I'm seeing my aura. I've never seen an aura before. So I'm looking at my hand, and then I look at my other hand, and it's also glowing bright white light. And so I bring my hands together like this. I'm looking at it, and I'm bringing them apart, bringing them back together. And I'm like, what is this? And so I know it's something because, like I said, I don't question anything. I do exactly what comes to me. And so I was like, okay, E, and then I'm like, okay, E squared. And I'm like, I don't know, like Einstein. And then I was like, oh, Tesla. And then I was like, Tesla, I was like, why do you keep coming to me? Why aren't you going to some young kid that like can do something with this information? Because I don't know anything about science, and I don't know anything about E squared. I don't understand it. I'm not going to probably ever understand it in this lifetime. I don't understand why you keep coming to me with all this science stuff. And he said, it's not about the science, it's about the creative source. And then I was like, hand turkey. And then I was like, oh my God, JB. And I felt Michael's presence very close to me. And I think he wanted me to like say who he is. So we're going to keep calling him Michael, but just whatever. So I felt his presence, and it terrified me. I'm not going to lie. It scared me because I felt how he was like an arm's reach away from me. And by this time, the water was getting very cold in the tub. It was starting to distract me. And so I was like, dang it, I have to put some hot water in the tub because I'm too distracted. And then I was like, oh no, and I'm going to have to get up and this is going to all go away. And then I was like, no, Keisha, just do it. It will be fine. So I picked the piece of lapis up and I add hot water to my tub. And I lay back down, and now I'm holding this stone in between my fingers, and my arms are stretched out. And I say, Michael, why are you here with me right now? Why aren't you with Emily? And I go like this and I feel his presence right here. It's right here in front of me. And it literally scared the shit out of me. My ears were under the water. Okay. And so I was like, oh my God, Keisha, don't be scared. 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 And then I knew in order for me to actually not be scared, I had to say those words out loud. And so I said those words out loud. And when I said those words out loud, it was my voice as a little girl. And that terrified me even more. And then I was like, oh my God, 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 oh my God. Okay, don't be scared, don't be scared, don't be scared, don't be scared, don't be scared. And so then I bring the stone and I put it on my lips, and warm water runs down my face. There's no way that this stone could have still been wet. First of all, this was like quite a while that had gone by, let alone warm water, like very warm water. And so Michael was giving me a kiss. It was so real. And it was a kiss to say thank you for paying attention. And thank you for letting me do my job. And thank you for letting me come here and do my work from the other side, even though I'm not here in physical form. It was the most beautiful thank you I have ever been given in my entire life. And, you know, I know for sure that I'm a believer in that nobody or no thing from the other side can do things to scare me personally because of my own beliefs. And that stretched my belief because somehow, even though he knew that that would terrify me, because of the love and the connection that we shared, he was able to break through that barrier. I don't know any other way to say it. Because he wanted to show me why he couldn't be with his sister right now. It was the most beautiful thing I've ever experienced, and truly the most beautiful thing that I've ever experienced. And so that is that. And so the next day, after this all happened, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing, but there's no way I can share this with Emily. It's just too close, and it's not the right time. So she calls me the next day and we're talking, and there was no way I couldn't tell her every single bit of me, and it was just impossible. So I told her the story, and she thought it was amazing and beautiful. And she called me back immediately after we got off the phone, and she said, I'm on the phone with my mom. My mom is on 3-way call, and I want you to tell her the story, the hen turkey story that you just told me. And I was like, Emily, in order for me to tell your mom this story, I'm gonna have to tell her the Tesla story, and it's a long story. And she said, yeah, I want you to tell her the whole story. And so I tell the whole story, and she says, okay, Mom, now tell Keisha what happened. And so right before they were getting ready to disconnect Michael from life support, the nurses came in with that clay stuff. I don't know what it's called. It's not paper mache, but they came in to make handprints with this clay stuff. with his hands. And Emily was pretty upset at this point. She said that the nurses were saying things like, if you want to bring the definition out in the hands, you can put some makeup in there. And so Emily's thinking in her mind, this isn't fucking arts and crafts time. My brother is dying. We're disconnecting him from life support, and you're acting like this is arts and crafts time. And Michael, being one of the absolute funniest people that I've ever met in my life, hilarious. He seriously is one of the most amazing, funny human beings ever. Guarantee you, he was like, check this shit out, you guys. They're going to make hand turkeys out of my hands right now. And somehow he sent that hand turkey message from California to Sarah in Minnesota, and Sarah in Minnesota sent it to me, and somehow that golden thread of information traveled because of love. And I don't know any other way to say it except for that I believe that the purity of the information, because of I don't believe any of this is possible without love. I believe it happens because of love and pure love. And I really hope that people who hear this, who have lost people very close to them, their loved ones, know that they really are here whenever you want them to be here. And sometimes I do know that when we aren't able to hug them in physical form, it's very difficult to, it makes it more real almost. But I'm telling you, this shit is real. And so just know that, please. If nothing else, just please know that. And know that when you believe that and you know that, they are so happy that they are able to be here with you also, because they're here to help all the time. All the time. And so let me just wrap this up by saying that I don't believe necessarily, like when Michael was when he was there, I emotionally felt that. I felt his presence. He was absolutely there. I felt his kiss, his warmth, it was him. He was there. With Tesla, it was more mental and not emotional. And so obviously I had a relationship with this other person. So yeah, of course, it's going to be a different interaction. So my point is that I don't necessarily think that Tesla's spirit came to hang out with me in the tub. What I do believe is that I was traveling on that same golden thread of information at the same time, and able to receive the information that Tesla was traveling on at the same time. Like I said, I don't know how any of this stuff works. I do know that we are able to tap into whatever source of information that we want to at any time. And so where do you want to tune to? What station do you want to tune to? And the more of us who tune in to these higher vibrations, these higher frequencies of love, that the better off we're going to be. And I thank you all for listening, because I'm really excited about our future, because I do believe that more and more people are becoming more and more aware of what we're actually doing here. And what we're actually doing here is really freaking incredible. And that veil is being lifted, you guys. So the veil between us and the other side, it is dissipating very rapidly. And it's all going to make sense real soon. So, anyhow, for those of you who have been curious, who have been listening to the Wandering Star podcast, and you've been curious about the Tesla story, there you have it. And it doesn't end there. If you have questions or leave comments. Also, if you have not listened to Wandering Star podcast, please check out Wandering Star podcast. It is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio. There's a few episodes here on my YouTube channel. And once Hillary, my co-host, once she gets back to some civilization with some service, we will also be posting on the Wandering Star YouTube channel. So for now, thank you for listening. Take care. Bye-bye.